penny in an old man's hat.
I know all of you know who I am because you are people children. However, this is not true in the animal world. Take moles, for example. Moles, you know, are little animals who live in the ground. They spend their lifetime digging. I'm thinking of one particular mole family, Harley, Emma, and Delver. Harley was the father mole, Emma was the mother mole, and Delver was their little boy. And they had never heard of me or Christmas until one day a mouse friend of theirs told Delver that Christmas was several different flavors of paper and cardboard, fresh paste, no end of ribbons, strings, and nesting material, constant footsteps overhead, and no rest for anyone until the fat man in the red suit, that's me, until the fat man in the red suit had come and gone. The mouse told Delver that the fat man in the red suit comes puffing and wheezing down the chimney, puts knickknacks and candy in stockings, leaves all kinds of packages around and says, "Ho, ho, ho," and goes puffing and huffing back up the chimney again. He also told Delver that people children write letters to the fat man in the red suit, and if the people children had been good, the fat man in the red suit would bring them what they asked for. But wait, here I am telling a story that I know Miss Greenwood is going to read today. So why don't you tune in to Storytime and hear the rest of the story while I get busy reading those letters to the little fat man in the red suit from all the people children. Ho, ho, ho.
Are you going to read that story?
Oh, yes, I have the best story. It's called The Mole Family's Christmas. Are you ready to listen?
Absolutely.
Let's check and see if the boys and girls are. Are you sitting up straight? Are your feet flat on the floor? Your hands still? Your eyes looking right this way? Then I think we're ready to begin. And his son Delver did straight mole work. They tunneled, and they dug, and they brought home their groceries. Harley and Delver wore overalls and thick boots and heavy work gloves. They wore thick glasses because the whole mole family was very nearsighted, and they had little lanterns in their caps because they tunneled in the dark. They tunneled in the springtime and the summer. They tunneled through the fall and through the winter, while Harley's wife Emma cooked and cleaned and washed the overalls. All three of them worked every single day, and all days were the same for them. In the evenings, Emma mended overalls and work gloves, while Harley and Delver cleaned the lanterns and scraped the mud from their boots and rubbed them down with tallow. When Delver's chores were done, he polished up and stored his collection of good-shaped stones and marbles and bits of colored glass that he had found while tunneling. And sometimes he just sat around and thought.
Delver is a brooder,
Emma used to say to Harley.
Delver's a thinker.
Harley always answered.
There's no telling what that boy might do when he puts his mind to something.
The Mole family's home was under the lawn of a house that had been empty for a long time. But that fall, a family of people moved in. And that winter, very early one morning when everyone was still asleep, Delver tunneled up through the earth and snow to have a look around. At the back door of the house, he found a house mouse looking at a calendar the milkman had left with season's greetings from the dairy.
"Christmas is coming,"
said the mouse, and ran into his hole. Delver thought about it all day, and at dinner He asked his mother and his father.
What is Christmas?
I have no idea. No idea whatever.
Neither do I. Perhaps it's a people thing.
Delver thought about it some more. And that evening, when his chores were done, he went up to the people house. There, he found the mouse again, dining on birdseed that had fallen from a feeder.
What is Christmas?
Several different flavors of paper and cardboard. Fresh paste sometimes, and no end of ribbon, string, and nesting materials. Constant footsteps overhead, and no rest for anyone until it's come and gone.
Until who's come and gone?
Fat man in a red suit, white beard. First, there's a lot of stomping and snorting and jingling up on the roof. Then he comes puffing and whizzing down the chimney, puts knickknacks and candy in stockings, lifts all kinds of package around, says ho ho ho, and goes huffing and puffing up the chimney again. It's quite an odd thing, really, but he does it only once a year, and nobody seems to mind.
What's in the packages?
Skates and trains, dolls and whatnot. The people children write letters, and if they have been good, the fat man brings them what they ask for.
Does he bring you anything?
No, but then it's not my chimney, and I don't write letters. It's late, and I've got to be getting home before Ephraim Owl comes by on his evening rounds. Lovely night, isn't it? Look at all those stars.
Where?
Up in the sky. Where else?
He shook his head and ran back into the house. Delver looked up, but he was too nearsighted to see the stars. When he squinted hard, he could just barely make out a blurry brightness here and there, but that was all. He was still squinting up at the sky when a lady mouse came to nibble at the birdseed.
The stars are especially fine tonight, aren't they?
They certainly are.
Indeed, it's almost like singing, you might say, the way they glimmer and shine, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is.
And he went on squinting while the lady mouse went on nibbling. After a while, Delver said,
Do you have any particular way of looking at the stars?
I just look up. Of course, I have seen people looking at them with telescopes, which is, I suppose, a particular way of looking. Look out!
She dove into the shrubbery, pulling Delver with her as old Ephraim Owl swooped down upon them. Said Ephraim as he flew up with nothing in his talons.
If not this time, then some other time.
And he flew away, hooting and chuckling.
You'd better keep your eyes open. He almost caught you.
I was thinking, what's a telescope?
I believe that a telescope is something like an extra very far-sighted eye, which would undoubtedly be helpful to anyone who might be somewhat nearsighted.
Undoubtedly. Thank you very much. Good night.
And he tunneled slowly home, thinking about the stars. All the next day, as Delver worked with his father, he thought about the stars he could not see. And after a while, he began to cry.
What's the matter?
Delver told him about the stars.
I went above ground a time or two when I was young. I heard about stars too, and I know how you feel.
There are telescopes.
He told his father what the lady mouse had told him.
I wish I had a telescope.
So do I. It would be nice to see a few stars, just for the experience of it, you know.
Maybe if we had a chimney.
He told Harley about the fat man in the red suit.
But that's a people thing. I never heard of a red-suited fat man giving anything to animals.
And anyhow, we haven't got a chimney.
We've got a stovepipe, same as any other animals.
You've got to have a chimney.
A people-sized chimney?
Well, it would have to be big enough for his hand with the telescope, at least.
Harley took a deep breath and drew himself up to his full height.
All right. We'll make a chimney.
When Emma was told about the project, she had many doubts.
I'd like to see the stars as much as anyone else, but we mustn't get our hopes too high.
Nevertheless, she threw herself wholeheartedly into the work. The Mole family made many nighttime trips above the ground for sand and cement for their mortar. Harley and Emma and Delver carried pieces of broken brick and heavy stones, always watching and listening for the owl. Old Ephraim failed to catch them night after night, but vowed that he would soon or late dine upon them.
The longer it takes, the better you'll taste.
But the moles kept working on their chimney in spite of Ephraim, and every night it grew higher. The mouse who had told Delver about Christmas showed him how to spell out the words for his letter, and by the time the chimney was half built, he was ready to mail it. The question was, where to?
I know he comes down, so he must come from up. If I were you, I'd send the letter up.
So the moles found a very long stick and stuck it straight up in the snow with the letter in a cleft at the end of it. The letter said,
To the fat man in the red suit. All of us moles down here have been good. We need a telescope so we can look at the stars. Maybe you don't give things to animals. Well then, I will swap my stone marble and glass collection for it. If that's not enough, my father and I could work out the difference in tunnels or plain digging. If you need any tunnels or plain digging done, your friend, Delver Mole.
That night, the moles stopped work before old Ephraim made his rounds, and so they were in bed when he passed overhead on silent wings. Old Ephraim saw the letter on the stick, snatched it up in his talons, stuck it in his back pocket, and flew away with it. When the moles came out the next night and saw that the letter was gone, they were all very pleased.
Well, now that that's been picked up, it's just a matter of time till the telescope comes.
Then the moles worked very hard every night to finish their chimney. All of them hoped very much that the fat man in the red suit would come, but each of them thought that perhaps he might not come. So just to make sure that Delver and Harley would have something for Christmas, Emma knitted new mufflers for them. Harley made a pair of pretty slippers for Emma and a pair of moccasins for Delver. Delver made a sewing box for his mother and a reading lamp with a green ginger ale bottle glass shade for his father. Then all the moles wrapped their presents and hid them.
Even if the fat man doesn't bring the telescope, he may leave some other little presents, you know.
Just what I was thinking.
So was I.
And all three of them smiled to themselves. When the moles finished the chimney by the light of the moon on Christmas Eve, they were all exhausted. They sat on top of their chimney and sighed happily, smiling up at the stars they could not see, and they were so tired that they all fell asleep, sitting there in a row. They were still sitting there asleep when old Ephraim flew over. Woo! Woo!
There they are, like a three-course dinner, all ready and waiting for me. I'll just swoop down there, and he'll jump up and run, but they won't be fast enough.
Ephraim swooped down, but the tired mole stayed fast asleep.
This doesn't seem quite right. I'll hoot very loud and count to 10 to give him a head start, and then I'll catch him.
Woo! Woo!
Wake up!
But the moles would not wake up.
Silly things. They write letters about telescopes and stars, and they sleep out in the open by the light of the moon, they certainly deserve to be eaten.
Just then, the midnight bells rang out in all the churches in the town, and the sound floated on the still air over the sparkling snow. Then from high up, under the silent singing stars, there came a faint jingling of sleigh bells, and all at once old Ephraim felt very jolly and full of fun.
Wouldn't those moles feel foolish if they woke up and found themselves not eaten? Man, that's too much. And maybe just for fun, I'll give that letter to whoever it is way up there in the sleigh. Maybe he knows the fat man in the red suit.
So it was that on Christmas morning, the moles woke up, feeling very foolish for having fallen asleep out in the open and found themselves not eaten. And there beside them on the chimney was a beautiful, shining telescope.
You see, all it took was a chimney, and I didn't even have to swap my stone, marble, and glass collection.
But the joke wasn't only on the moles, because when old Ephraim woke up that afternoon, he found a nicely wrapped package inside the door of the hollow tree where he lived. Inside the package was an elegant striped necktie and a card that said,
"Season's greetings to a jolly good fellow from the fat man in the red suit. Best regards, S. Claus."
So that was the mole family's first Christmas, and they were very pleased with it. On top of the chimney, they made an owl-proof observatory out of an upside-down flower pot. And then they were able to look at the stars in perfect comfort.
You can never tell what will happen when a boy like Delver puts his mind to something. And here I am, who never expected to see a single star, looking at all of them. I call that impressive.
It really is like singing, the way they glimmer and shine.
Even Delver's mouse friends, who were not at all nearsighted, found that they enjoyed viewing the stars through a telescope. And now they visit the mole's observatory often. Old Ephraim wears his necktie constantly, and although he still hunts the moles regularly, he has not yet managed to catch them. There has been talk of using the mole chimney next Christmas for all of the local animals, and the mice are already at work on their letters to the fat man in the red suit. So is old Ephraim, who, being somewhat more knowledgeable, will address his letter to S. Claus.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now bring us some figgy pudding, now bring us some figgy pudding, now bring us some figgy pudding and bring it out here. For we love our figgy pudding, for we love our figgy pudding, for we love our figgy pudding, so bring some out here. We won't go until we get some, we won't go until we get some, we won't go until we get some, so bring some out here.
I've got to write my list, Miss Greenwood. I haven't sent a letter to Santa Claus. Quick, pencil, paper.
All right. I have it right here.
I want a telescope.
A telescope.
A telescope because that was really a neat idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I want lots and lots of books. Big books and little books and fat books and good books.
All right.
No bad books. And I want a chemistry set so I can make things that go kablooey.
Oh, I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, I'll also invent something that takes the dirt out of the air, an anti-pollution device.
Oh, well. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy